Mel, you're on.
Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Coming up on This Week in Baseball, the Kansas City Royals flash the victory sign thanks to a new trend that has them winning early. The versatile Jack McKeon.
Well, naturally, in the big leagues, the second guessing is magnified a great deal, and the little things that are overlooked in the minor leagues are blown up a little bit more in the big league.
And commercial messages brought to you by Hall of Famers. So take it from yours truly, past and present. We'll reveal it all. Coming up on This Week in Baseball. Kansas City. The signs indicate fun times ahead for the Royals, who've won 5 of 6 and come on strong in the newly strengthened American League West, all of which makes the absence of George Brett a whole lot easier to take.
In the past, with the loss of a guy like George Brett, we've always kind of hung our heads and wondered how we were going to get by without him. But though we'll miss George Brett, we've got a lot of talent, a lot of guys pulling together as a team, capable of winning our division. We really feel strongly about that.
No wonder Walton Field's chipper. His Royals have snapped out of an old habit and gotten on the stick early.
Threw the bat at it, moved to the right field. Tarnable waved in. Evans charges. Here's the throw to the plate, and he is safe at the plate. The Royals win.
Certainly the Royals have always been known as a second-half ball club. One thing we really dwelled on in spring training was to think about winning as many games as we can in April and May so that we don't fall too far behind. And it's a good thing we've done that because we could be very easily 8 to 10 games out if we got off to a normal start.
That the Royals have been coming together has a lot to do with rookie Luis de los Santos. The way he's been playing, it's hard to keep him out of the lineup. Kevin Seitzer's been just plain hard on opposing pitchers, among league leaders in hits and batting at his usual 300 clip. Strong numbers have also come from the bullpen, which has been holding up steady with Flash Gordon. Last season's minor league player of the year, he bolted to the majors in a flash and then made a smooth transition to middle reliever.
I enjoy the relief role. I enjoy it because I feel like every day, we get in a little trouble. I feel like I can come in and I can throw the ball and I can throw strikes and I can have a decent outing. And I feel like they call on me and they have the confidence in me to call me at tough situations. And I feel more confident in what I do and when I do it.
Steve Barr is confident as the Royals' closer. After 8 seasons in the minors, mostly as a starter, he came up to Kansas City and since last year has collected 30 saves.
It just makes it a lot easier on my arm and not having to get up 3 or 4 times in the bullpen and then pitch 3 innings. I only have to get up 1 time now, pitch 1 inning. It's a little bit of a relief.
Fans, it's a rare treat for a major leaguer to have a brother in the business. But in the case of the brothers Gwynn, Chris of the Dodgers and Tony of the Padres, childhood dreams came true. Tony landed in the majors for good in 1984, and since then has collected 200 hits 3 times, while winning 3 batting titles. Seems Tony has taught younger brother Chris everything he knows. Look.
Hard and fair down in the corner. That might score all of them. Gilby scores. Hayes running it down. They're going to hold Hershiser at third on the double by Gwynn.
For the Gwynns, who grew up in Los Angeles, baseball began in the backyard.
We played every day, and little did we know we're getting better just by standing in the backyard and playing, and where other kids are out, playing in the neighborhood or the schoolyard, we're in the backyard playing baseball. So I guess it helped, but we really never thought of being Major League Baseball players.
In fact, Tony starred in baseball and basketball at San Diego State. setting school records as a point guard and passing on a legacy to Chris, who also went to San Diego State and who was mostly known as Tony's younger brother.
On the good side, I think, you know, being the last name is Gwynn, you're always going to get that second look, or, you know, people approach you more. But as far as expectations, it's not too good, because you got a guy that's going to hit 330 every year and they're going to expect you to. But, you know, until they realize that I'm a different person and play different, we might look alike, but, you know, we're two different people.
While Chris is still gaining experience, he's not yet ready to play alongside the more famous Gwynn.
After a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years, where I've done pretty well consistently, then I would want to play with him because I know what I was doing. But before then, before you know the league, I think it would be kind of hard on you, because you see what he's doing and the expectations are really going to be there, you know, and that's always going to be there, but it would be magnified.
If you're on the same team, people are going to be comparing you all the time, and that makes it difficult for the younger one, I think, unless he was better than me. Right now, I don't think he's better than me, but it would be really difficult to play with. So I'd much rather go up against him. I'd rather play against him than play with him.
The San Francisco Giants didn't get much brotherly love in this game at Philadelphia, where they kept coming up empty. Of course, things weren't much better for the Phillies, who were also combing the one-ads for runs, as both teams failed to score for 11 innings. Then, in the top of the 12th, the Giants delivered 2 blows. The first, courtesy of Will Clark.
1-0 to Will Clark, and he hits this one into right field, indeed, and it is out of here.
Kevin Mitchell, up next, also got an irresistible offer.
And Mitchell belts one to right, and this one is deep. Dernier going back, and it is out of here.
With back-to-back homers by the Giants' 1-2 punch, San Francisco went into the last of the 12th, leading 2-0. Then the Phillies rallied, putting 2 runners on, and with 2 outs, Bob Dernier came up, the Phils' last chance. Hey, watch this.
Line drive, fair ball. Mitchell can't get it. 9 runs to the score. They are waving Dernier. He's the winning run. We got a play, and he's safe. Game's over.
How about that? And that was Dernier's first inside the park home run. Now, this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. The Pirates' Randy Kramer lost a no-hitter against the Reds in the 8th inning. But can you name the last rookie to throw a no-hitter? Times are bright for Jack McKeon. Since leaving the front office for the dugout, he's brought his Padres up from down under. As for his own progress, call it slow and steady. A so-so player who never made the majors, but a minor league manager who paid his dues.
I think it's a great asset to be able to manage a lot of years in the minor leagues. I mean, naturally, you know, you'd like to get to the big leagues as fast as you could, but on the other hand, I think the experience that you gain down there is tremendous. I mean, I spent somewhere 14 or 15 years in the minor leagues, and I had set a timetable myself to be able to, you know, give myself enough time to get to the big leagues and be well prepared. That was at age 44. That would be 14 years. And, you know, I made it in 12.
When he did get there in 1973, it was to manage the Royals.
First and third. Nobody out. Come on, I'll blow you in that pick up a win.
McKeon may have been new to the majors, but with so much minor league experience behind him, he sure wasn't fazed.
The second guess has got to be a little bit tougher. Well, naturally, in the big leagues, the second guessing is magnified a great deal, and the little things that are overlooked in the minor leagues, are blowed up a little bit more in the big leagues. But I don't see it as any problem. I think everybody has the right to their own opinion. And of course, I'd be happy if we could get 40 or 50,000 second guesses out at the park every night.
That first year with Kansas City, McKean's Royals ended up 6 games behind the Oakland A's, who were in the midst of winning 3 straight world championships. The young and talented Royals clearly impressed their manager, though, because he had 25 good reasons to feel optimistic.
First of all, you got Patek leading off. I want Patek to get on. Rojas, I want him to move him into scoring position. Otis, Mayberry, Kirkpatrick, Pennell, and McRae, drive him home. Shaw, he's got a good glove. Give me a good defensive job at third base, and whatever he does with the bat's a plus. Healy, I want Healy, my catcher, to go out and keep my pitcher in the ball game for 9 innings.
When we were in AAA ball in 1969, we were trailing the first-place team by about 15 or 18 games at the halfway mark. Jack had a meeting and told us, look, we have so many games left, we're going to win this thing. When he got through talking, everybody believed him. He said he went outside and he couldn't believe he lied to the club. We turned around and we won the whole thing. And we felt Jack really and truly believed it, but I guess he didn't.
You know, if McKean's motivating skills were ever needed, it was in 1977 when he went over to Oakland, a team whose big stars were long gone and whose glory days were definitely over.
I understood fully what I was getting into. I was getting into a situation where we were a rebuilding club, and you had to be very, very objective about where you were going to finish.
Though A's owner Charlie Finley was notorious for interfering with his managers, McKean accepted it.
I got along with the guy very well because I understood the ground rules. And, you know, Charlie was going to make some changes in your lineups for you once in a while, tell you who to play, trade players on you, but you had to understand all of this and accept it. I never forget we were playing the Yankees, and Guidry was pitching against us, and he was beating us 6-0. It was about the 7th inning, and the phone rang in the dugout, and Charlie said, "Tell those guys to choke up, choke up." I said, "They are, Charlie." He said, "Damn it, I'm watching the game, they're not." So I had this next hitter get into the plate, and I said, "Hey, do me a favor, will you?" And I had him choke up. I swear to God, there was about this much of the bat. I said, "If Charlie's watching, there's no way he can't say these guys are not choking up now."
In 1980, it was McKean who gave the orders when he was hired as general manager of the Padres. In his new post, Trader Jack, as he came to be called, would produce 45 trades and completely restock the team. Efforts that paid off 4 years later with a pennant.
Well, it was one of those years that probably was the most exciting in my career. I look back and see that we had a bunch of guys that are well-knit that particular year, everybody contributing. The real exciting part came in the playoffs. When we go to Chicago and get hammered 2 games, come back home, and our fans just greet us at the airport and the stadium, about 10 or 15,000 people, and just spurred us on. We just had the momentum.
The Padres swept the next 3 games, and for the first time in the team's history, they were pennant winners. But they lost to Detroit in the World Series, and after that, lost their luster. Now, last May, with the team still slumping, McKean put on a second hat and took over as field manager.
What you liked about the 2 jobs was that I was able to divorce myself from one while I was doing the other. So when I would come into work at 9 o'clock in the morning, I would work as a general manager from 9 till 2. And then I just walk downstairs, put my uniform on, and become the manager. And I never thought about any duties of the general manager. And now, after the game, I'm back upstairs in my office at 11:30, and I forgot all about the game. Whereas today, you sit and constantly think about, once the game's over, you're thinking about tomorrow's lineups and your pitching and everything else, where you get a chance to develop ulcers. Before I didn't, because I never thought of anything like that.
Though McKean's a mighty busy baseball man, he still has time for needy kids.
Last week, I got a letter from a kid that was a 5-year-old who sent me a note saying that at the time that we visited him in the hospital, he wasn't able to communicate with us because he was under sedation or something. And he said he now is realizing how much that visit that we made, the Padres made in visiting those kids. And, you know, he's writing me, he said, you know, 4 or 5 months late, thank me.
Now, the answer to this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. Oakland's Mike Warren is the last rookie to throw a no-hitter. He did it in September 1983 against the White Sox. In our series on the Hall of Fame, we leave the ballpark for Madison Avenue. Advertisers have long been calling on baseball stars to help sell their products, everything from business supplies to peanut butter. And Hall of Famers from Casey Stengel to Ted Williams. Of course, players were not only seen.
Boy, I'm telling you, when I come up to the big leagues, I was a shuffling, grinning, head-ducking country boy. Well, I'm still a country boy, but I know a man down at Edwards and Hanley. I'm learning.
Edwards and Hanley, the brokers you've waited for.
Now tell me the truth. Don't you think a knuckleball is much harder to throw than a screwball?
Oh, no, Whitey. Whitey Ford and his new friend Salvador Dali always fly Braniff. They like our food, they like our style, and they like to be on time. Thanks for flying Braniff, fellas.
When you got it, flaunt it.
Tell him, Dali, baby.
Meet my 5 best pals. My old pal Napoleon. My old pal Michelle McVeigh. My old pal Mr. Mummy. My old pal Billy Williams. And my old pal Ovaltine. My old pal Ovaltine.
Casey on cat food.
I know something about cat food that you don't know. A one-food diet is bad for your cat because cats need a varied diet. So here's Tabby, kidney and fish, 2 foods. Chicken and giblets and kidney, 3 foods. Tabby, treat, 5 foods. Tabby.
Necessary cat food.
Wow.
Gee, champ, you're in great shape.
Yogi, I like to keep fit. Work out every day, gym, road work, you know.
What do you eat to keep yourself going?
I always eat Puss in Boots. Fish flavor or meat flavor, both terrific.
Luis Aparicio of the White Sox streaks for second. The slow-motion camera shows how Luis gets the jump on the pitcher for a stolen base. Takes a good lead, almost the length of his body plus 1 step, evenly balanced on both feet, and then with a pitch, pushes off his left foot and breaks for second. Luis, now that you've shown us how to get a jump on the pitcher, show us how you get a jump on that beard of yours.
Okay, Mel. Me lavo, crema de afeitar, y la gran hojilla Gillette Super Speed.
Wash, lather, and a Gillette Super Speed razor. How about that? Easy and clean.
Sí, bien afeitado.
Be careful, Laurence Olivier. How about that acting job, folks? And how about launching some more theatrics? You know, no matter where you view them, this week's great plays will halt even the most excitable fan. Starting with Los Angeles Dodger Willie Randolph, Lonnie Smith, Braves, Glenn Hubbard, Oakland, Corey Snyder, Cleveland, Darrell Boston to White Sox teammate Matt Morello. The Reds' Barry Larkin. Tim Wallach, Montreal Expos. Claudel Washington, Angels. Cleveland's Joe Carter. Houston's Ken Caminiti. Kurt Ford, Phillies. The Pirates' Bobby Bonilla. Tiger pitcher, Frank Tanana. A Philly deflection, Larry McWilliams to Mike Schmidt. And Detroit's Matt Noakes to Lou Whitaker, back to Noakes for a game-ending play. Time now to open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors. This past Mother's Day, Red Sox center fielder Ellis Burks continued a tradition that started 5 years ago.
Hit well to center field. Griffey on the dead run. Back toward the wall. That ball is gone.
Burks has been delivering more than just candy and flowers on Mother's Day. On this day last year, he hit one out. and on the 3 Mother's Days before that, 3 home runs. Look closely, folks. A rare sight. A left-handed catcher. 9th inning against Atlanta. The Pirates were stuck for a catcher. So in came first baseman Benny DiStefano. Rain or no rain, this was an event not to be missed. After all, the last lefty to catch in a game was infielder Mike Squires, who in 1980 helped the White Sox out in a pinch. As for DiStefano, well, to tell you the truth, folks, he did try it briefly last year in the minors. With Toronto mired in last place, manager Jimmy Williams was fired, and for the time being, the Blue Jays were turned over to batting coach Cito Gaston. In Gaston's debut, Lloyd Mosby broke out of a slump with a home run to spark Toronto. The next night, he homered again as the Blue Jays came back from 6 runs down to take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland. Time now for our Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Kirby Puckett spruced up his .340 average by going on a doubles kick. First, he helped beat the Blue Jays with a record-tying 4 doubles. Next day, he hit 2 more, giving him 6 doubles in 2 games and putting him on a pace to break the season record of 67 held by Earl Webb of the 1931 Red Sox. Next week, folks, we're going to visit the Hall of Fame Library. And whatever the question, you can look it up right here. That's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.